You know, people ask me all the time, why in the world would I ever do something like this? Well, let me tell you the steps that I had to take to come to this conclusion. During the general election, during the race between Obama and John McCain, I did my homework. I wish more folks did as well. But I knew what was going to happen if we elected our current president. So what I decided to do on my sign, which is located on Route 1 South Bypass in Portsmouth, was to put things up there that people needed to know. Issues concerning Obama that nobody was talking about that were factual. So I started to do that and did that for many, many months, almost the entire year prior to his election. That sign garnered a lot of notoriety, including national notoriety. I started the Granite State Patriots after seeing all of the pro-Hamas, anti-Israeli demonstrations that occurred in our country in December and January, and I decided that we had to do something about that. Nobody was standing up to the folks, against these folks. So I decided to start the Granite State Patriots in order to do that, and also to support our troops and keep an eye on the Obama administration. Well, the sign didn't work. He got elected anyway. So I put up soon after the election, and when the bailouts, the mortgage bailouts were occurring, I put something up on that sign that basically said, and it was tongue-in-cheek, why don't we all stop paying our mortgages? Well, that particular phrase was picked up by a Portsmouth Herald reporter. And that woman came in and said, boy, that sign puts a smile on my face every time I see it, but this was especially fun, and I was wondering if I could do a story on you and do a photo shoot. Well, I was a little leery about that, because obviously some of the things on the sign, although they were factual, were provocative. And I didn't want to get ambushed, so I had her come in the office and I questioned her fairly extensively so she could convince me she was a conservative reporter, which she was. She did a great job on the article, and I really didn't know that the article was going to be written that very evening. Next morning at 6 a.m., the phone rings, and it's one of my neighbors telling my wife that I had to get up because I was on television. Of course, being early in the morning, I was a little disoriented, thinking, how could I be on television? I was in bed. I had no idea what had happened. It turned out that the story of the sign was picked up by Fox and Friends, and they ran it. Well, it was a hit. They called me up during the day, as did hundreds of other folks from across the country, and Fox and Friends asked if I could come on the show live the following morning. Well, we did that. Limousine picked us up, drove us into Boston, and from the Boston studio I appeared live. And you could look at that live appearance on my website, jackforgov.com. Didn't speak about politics that day. I really spoke about personal responsibility, and I also spoke about my desire to fight for my country once again, and the way I was going to do that was through my sign and the Granite State Patriots. Well, next came the Tea Parties. The Granite State Patriots became very well known very quickly. The organization grew, and it was asked to co-host a few of the Tea Parties, the biggest of which was April 15th in Manchester. I was asked to speak at that event as well as many others, and it was after those speeches that people started to come into my office and suggest that I run for office. Most of them were asking me to run for U.S. Senate and or Congress. I really didn't have any interest in doing that, but I knew I could do a lot more. So I thought about this, and people kept coming in. And I went home to my wife, we had a serious discussion, and she said to me, I didn't even bring up the fact that I was considering running for this particular position, the governorship of the state of New Hampshire. Well, we just talked about my desire to do more for my state and my country. So after the Tea Parties, and these discussions were going on, also with the notoriety, a person came in and approached me about a radio show on Clear Channel. They were converting 96.7 The Way from music to talk radio, and they had some opportunities there. I accepted that along with a co-host, Jeff Chittister. He still has a New Hampshire Perspective show to this day. But I was on that show for 12 shows, and mostly state-oriented policies. And it was at that time, because as a businessman I knew it was very difficult to make ends meet with respect to the taxes that have been levied on small business in this state and the high level of spending that was resulting in those taxes. So as you get more and more into the details of the budget, and I had to do that to make the show really work well, it really upset me. So I went home and discussed the possibility of my running for the governorship of the state with my wife. Of course, she was completely shocked. But I decided that, look, it's an executive position. I've got 35 years executive experience. I've been running businesses all my life. I know how to meet a payroll. I know how to structure budgets. I know what to do when expenses are too high. And I know that tax cuts always work. Novel idea, but they work every time they've been tried. And I know I can do some very good things for the state of New Hampshire should I be elected. In any case, the decision was made. I was going to run. So I announced my exploratory run the first week of September of 2009, and then on January 14th, 2010, I formally announced my candidacy for the governorship of this state, and I fully expect to win in the primary and go on to beat John Lynch in the November elections. Hi, I'm Jack Kimball. I moved to New Hampshire 40 years ago because this was a place of opportunity, growth, and freedom. But constantly increasing state taxes and fees are driving businesses out and killing jobs when we need them the most. I'm a businessman, activist, Navy veteran, and father. I'm not a politician, but I am a patriot, and that's why I'm running for governor. Let's bring sustainable solutions back and preserve New Hampshire values and traditions. To learn more, please visit jackforgov.com.